Well, we hereby call the meeting to order. You're going to put up the agenda too, Brian?
Oh, yeah. I apologize.
Oh, no problem.
My fault.
Not the problem. Anybody else coming? I wonder. Let's see who else. Jill may not. Jill can only possibly make it later. And of course, Bob doesn't have the equipment. So
Scooter. I don't think that's Maya.
I had a conversation with Bob Morgan yesterday, and I think they're both doing all right. Jane and Bob. Jane's primary care physician has moved from Gun Barrel to Superior, so they're going to have to come over here for her primary care. I guess it's down there by the Cornerstone, the medical center there to the north of Sports Stable.
Sorry about that. Can you can you see the agenda now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, well, good to see everybody. And you have the agenda, I've been mailed the agenda and you have it on the screen, so we can begin. And hope everybody's had a good 4 weeks since we last met. Some of us have met on other issues, so we'll go over that as we go through the agenda. Let's see. So, Madam Secretary, have you got the agenda, the roll taken? That's you, Vicki. Okay, and so then hopefully we've all had a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting, the August meeting. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I have a correction.
Oops, okay. Sorry about that.
Okay,
Any corrections or additions to the minutes? Karen?
This is very minor, but under members in attendance, she's got Michael Spetz as a member. I think he should be under other people or visitors or whatever we called them before, and not under the commission members.
Right. I will correct that. It's a good call.
Okay, very good.
Okay, that's all.
Any other corrections or additions?
Also, I was at the walkthrough at Grassel Park too.
Yes. I did notice that. Yeah, put Twyla on there as part of the group that went to the to Grassel Park
Okay.
search. What number is that, Twyla?
Number 1, under old business.
Oh yeah, there is. Got it. Okay. Any other corrections or additions?
Nope.
We'll take
All
a
good.
motion to accept the minutes then as corrected.
I so make.
Motion by Wally, second.
I'll second.
Second by Twyla. Okay, very good.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
I second it.
Who made the motion?
Mary,
Okay, thanks, Mary. Okay, Mary Cartwright makes the motion to accept the agenda, seconded by Karen. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody?
Aye.
There we go. That motion carries. Okay, so is there any public comment this morning?
No, Larry, I don't see anyone attending for public comment, so we can move on.
All right. So as we go to the discussion items, the treasurer reports from Mr. Meyer.
Yeah, the historic donations account balance is $494.71. And the historic preservation account balance is $4,867.50.
All right, thank you. for that. Okay, we'll go through the old business. I believe I sent out the kind of the summary of what we saw needing some attention after our walk through the around Asty Park, around the museum building and in Asty Park, and other items in Asty Park and Grasso Park. What comments or questions do you have?
Thought it was a very thorough list, Larry.
Good. I was taking notes like crazy there. So,
Yes, you were.
so I guess the next question or issue is how to go about that. So Brian, I had a email conversation about, and he can summarize it too, or add to it. But the summary is that some of the things he feels that can be done by town staff, and others by outside. So Brian, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what you said. I mean, Larry sent me a comprehensive list of items that can get repaired or have attention to this year yet at Asti, Grasso. There's some other miscellaneous issues. So I'll just work with our parks guys first to see what items can be done in-house, and then we have a contractor as well that can assist us with the other items. So naturally this then will, over the next couple months, the historic preservation account balance will utilize that for most of these repairs. So
You got a chance to figure out which ones you think the town staff can work on, Brian?
not yet. Working with Matt Rarick, our parks
Okay.
superintendent, on that. So
Very good. Yeah, we were thinking about using the fella who, I call it Pigtail, who put those extensions on the siding on the Grasso Park house, with the ones that are all rotted off, and put on the new wood as being one of the possibilities for some of these maintenance items, so that require some woodwork and some. But he can continue. Since he did that, he can do some of the repairs on the stuff he actually installed. We saw a couple of those extensions were really cupped and warped and popped off and things like that. So he would know that. I don't think Brian's to that point yet, though, where it's been determined who might do that. So I guess we'll just keep going then, huh, Brian? And,
Yep.
Okay. So it's in the works, let's put it that way. I went to Historic Roundtable yesterday. I did it by Zoom, and it's kind of good to get all the history geeks back together again. And I think wasn't a whole lot coming out of that of general interest, except that, the Meet the Spirits at the Columbia Cemetery that they have every year, or every other year, I think it is now. They're going to do that by video. They're going to do a video of people standing by the tombstones and telling the stories of the spirits. And then people, I think you're going to have to pay some money to watch it or something like that. Because it used to be, I think, is paid admission to be in that, to go to that in the past. But so that's the Columbia Cemetery Meet the Spirits. That'll be in October sometime.
But Larry, can you let us
yes.
know that date and things
Okay, sure.
and contact, so so we could join in?
Yeah. Seems like they said the 12th, but maybe that's when they're going to record it. I shall do that.
Okay, thank you, because that's before our next meeting.
Let me jot that down.
And would we just get on historicroundtable.com, or how do
No,
we?
that's a historic boulder project.
Okay.
So,
Okay, historic bowl.
so yeah, I'll get the more details on that.
Okay, well, thanks so
And
much.
share them. You bet.
Yeah, thank you.
In my notes, I thought I might take a minute to share with you about now that let's see, last week I did one of my slideshows. Actually, it was the one on the shootout at the Superior Depot for a local chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution by Zoom, and that went pretty well. And then on the 30th of September, I'm going to be doing the Switzerland Trail out at Niwot, but I don't know if I've told you about this before, but Niwot, Boulder County Health would only allow 7 people in the Niwot Grange Hall. And so they're going to record it and then put the video out to the Niwot Historical Society members. So I'll be giving one of my shows to 7 people. And that'll be a different experience.
Yeah, can we ever watch any of those? I'd love to see one.
I'll check on that too,
Sometime.
because it's going to be available,
Yeah.
and but I don't know if it's going to be just to members or pay to access it or whatever. I shall find out.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see.
Yeah, it would.
Okay, and then it says we're going to do the industrial mine signage follow-up. Twyla?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, I just started back into it again this past week, and I did just a little short hike up that lower path and took pictures of the signage that we have now. Excuse me. And thinking of moving the one sign and putting the new one in there. So I was just kind of taking pictures again about placement and identifying some of the buildings, which Larry said he can identify most of them. So that would be great, because it is hard, excuse me, to identify what I see versus what I have on a piece of paper. There's no real diagram other than the mining homes themselves. So anyway, I'm starting back into it again and hopefully can make some headway.
And now Twyla knows what fan house looks like.
Yeah, and also I might start the little project to put trails in there, like it's a 5-year plan with the Boulder County, but I thought maybe eventually we could start it anyway, if we're still going for that, which it sounds like everyone wants to do from my notes.
I thought Pascal said that they wouldn't want any trails in there.
Well,
I think
unless,
it would be worth pursuing, though. Just
Yeah.
a simple trail through the main mine site. And, she didn't say no,
yeah,
it was doubtful, but
right. They would have to approve it, and I guess it's to our liking also that we do or do not want to do that and have people traipsing around up there. So yeah, that was a question.
Okay.
But yeah, it was not a definite no, but if we can
even
talk
looked at-
more, give me your thoughts about what we really want to do.
because we even looked at a place near the interpretive signs now where there's like a gate in that fence down there. And she said, oh yeah, you could take the trail from that old railroad bed trail. Go
right.
through here, she was pointing that out. So
Okay,
I think it's worth, if we've got 5 years, it's worth pursuing for sure.
definitely.
Well,
Okay.
I really think we should pursue actually see if they'll let us do the tour that we originally have been doing, because I think if people have to look clear out over that, they can't tell for sure what was going on. And if we're doing that with a permit, they're still sort of regulating that.
True. Good.
Okay. Right.
Thanks
So-
for clearing that up, Mary.
Pardon?
Thanks for clearing that up. And Twyla. Thanks, Twyla, for following up on that. I made the comment about the fan house because Twyla sent me a picture. Said, "What is this thing?" It is rather odd looking, and so
It is.
Now, do we know, are they going to try and stabilize that, anything at all, or are they just going to allow that to fall over?
I don't think there's going to be any. What do you, Twyla and Mary? What do you think? I don't think there's going to be any stabilization.
I don't know. I've not heard. Is it falling over? Or eventually, I suppose it would, but,
Well, it
I
keeps
think
getting
we
weaker and
talked
bigger
about it.
cracks, and
okay.
yeah.
I
Well, that'd be-
think
That's the only really structure that people can really see.
And Boulder County does, historically stabilize and preserve some other historical structures through the park system and all. So I think
Mhm.
we could at least propose it.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
thinking of
let's do.
the Assayer's house and various things.
I think that's a good idea.
Hmm.
Okay, thanks for your follow up on that, Twyla.
Thank you.
Number 2 on the oral history project.
Can we go back to debriefing a minute?
Sure.
Is it, did you want to talk about the Labor Day car show under
Oh yeah,
debriefing?
let's do that. Thank you. Good idea. Yeah, I think that speaking for myself and I hope for others, I think it went very well. For your information, Wally and I were in the cab of the truck, and Karen was in the, what do you call that? Your car protecting us and doing the signals and all that sort of thing. And then Leslie, who's now took Patrick Hammer's place as the director of Parks and Recreation, helped out too, and drove along in her truck, and then brought us a couple of waters and so forth, and had some nice conversation with some of the other nearby cars. And yes, we saw the Paps and the Cartwrights drive by. Anybody else want to talk about the fire truck day?
Well, you and I had a very long conversation with one of the guys that had, what was it, a 1918 Ford truck down there?
Yeah, the old
Bailey.
Model A truck, Model
Yeah.
T truck. Yeah.
Model T truck, Bailey. And I think he's got some possible information on some of the area around in here in the future, doesn't he?
Yeah, he grew up close to Marshall anyway, so he's close to the Gabriella family.
Right.
It's kind of like the Kuffners of Marshall. There's a long time family with a lot of brothers, and that older generation is all deceased now. But I have talked with Gabriella descendant, Bob, I think it is. Anyway, yeah. So we have 2 connections into Marshall to maybe access some more information, photographs, and what have you. Good point, Wally.
Before we leave this, I don't know if anybody noticed, but only one person on the commission basically had their picture in the camera the next day, and that was the one that was driving the guard car.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was Karen's car sitting in that photograph there. That was pretty cool.
I thought Louisville did a really good job of running that. It went so smoothly with people driving through there.
I thought I did too. Yeah, I don't think they've done one before. I know that Lafayette, I think, did, but yeah. So I think since they just kind of invented it, that it came off real well.
Yeah.
It seems that there was a lot of publicity on it. I saw it several places, especially in the camera. I didn't see that, but
Yeah, then they had the follow-up article in the camera featuring Karen Woligorsky at the wheel.
And also the person that drove the fire truck over there and back did an excellent job.
Who was that masked man? Yeah,
Yeah.
no problems. Didn't break a fan belt this year or get overheated or anything like that. So that was fun.
Can I ask a quick question? That,
Certainly.
not the Louisville fire truck, but the one across from you guys, what age is that and who owns that? Is that this privately owned or, that even older one of some sort?
Yes,
know
it
which one
was
you mean.
privately owned, but I don't know remember what year that was.
Oh, okay.
I'd
'Cause
say
that
it
was
was
in-
back in the 20s probably because
Yeah, I think that's pretty correct.
It was an older one. I don't remember the year.
yeah, the Louisville fire truck was 1932 model, which I didn't realize. I thought it was older than that too. But yeah, so we had the our fire truck and Louisville's old fire truck side by side, and then as Mary's pointing out, another one across the way. I never had a chance to go talk to the people who brought that one in. So
Oh, I thought you probably would have. It's nice of Louisville to arrange for our two trucks to be side by side.
yeah, I had some email conversations with the fire chief, so he was prepped for it. We were prepped. Very good.
If they ever do it again, this is a really wild notion. It would be fun to unchain the hand rolled one from the front of the town hall and have it on display too,
Mm.
because that is so cool. And I'll bet, unless you're in Superior going in and out, I'll bet a lot of people have never ever seen one of those.
Yeah, that's probably true. We'll keep that idea in mind. On the one hand, it's kind of cool to do that, and on the other, hope we're out of this COVID thing, but won't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on now to Vicki on the Oral History Project.
So that project is still at a standstill because I do not have access to a computer program to be able to record it. So I've been reaching out to Jill to try and figure out our next step. So right now, still hanging out there.
All right.
I think it's starting to get everyone frustrated, but I believe that it'll get done eventually. We just need to figure out how at this point. So,
Okay.
all right.
Good attitude.
Yeah, don't get frustrated, Vicki.
Hey, speaking of that item, the oral history video project, I know that continues to be on the agenda for kind of months on end, year to year. Does it make sense to take it off and then once there's a significant update, we can put it back on? I don't know, just a thought.
That's probably a good plan because once I have some information, I can email everyone and then get it back on there.
Yeah. Let's
So-
do that then.
Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah, here we are. The maintenance issues at Astor and Grasso Park. I guess we've already talked about that somewhat. Do we need to add anything there, Brian?
No, I think we pretty much summed it up a little bit ago.
I think so. So we got the money anyway to do a lot of those projects where you have to pay somebody outside. So I think it's just a matter of getting the connections made there. Okay, cemetery restoration project update.
Yeah, I think, well, go ahead, Larry.
No,
Yeah.
you're on. You're up.
Yeah, we're kind of both on this. Yeah, just kind of, we're making some headway on this. I think Larry sent an email out to the group with just kind of a reminder so you can have a visual on where those new interpretive signs will go. We obviously have the manufacturer who will order the signs from, and then we're working with the same consultant who we worked with on the design up there for the trail and the gathering space. We're going to be working with them on the designing and layout of the information on those three panels. So the signs will be 24 by 36, each of those signs. And we'll be starting kind of a kickoff meeting with them shortly here. And we'll be able to kind of wrap our heads around, and Larry's been working on this as well, but the kind of the intent of the information of each sign. And Larry was kind of doing some brainstorming on that. And then we'll, yeah, it's just a matter of compiling that information along with the pictures and making it look good and getting that finalized. So that's still kind of on track to get done this year yet, using that cemetery restoration budget line. So I don't know if
Did
you have
we-
anything to add, Larry.
Did we talk about getting a subcommittee together? And I think our subcommittee might end up being the whole commission, the way it sounded last time.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, I mean, there obviously was that cemetery working group, and I know since kind of that's evolved to kind of include pretty much the whole historic commission, which is fine. But something to think about for efficiency's sake when starting to really put that information together. I don't know, Larry, what would make the most sense with, maybe getting a first draft going and then sharing that with the group, and I don't know how you want to handle that brainstorming, but sometimes more, cooks in the kitchen can kind of prolong the process.
mhm.
So just something to think about.
Well, to members of the commission, I sent out that schematic of the walking through the gate, and Brian had highlighted the 3 sign locations. And once you be thinking about what should go on those 3 signs, I was thinking, I'll just throw out some ideas and you guys can brainstorm, or you can put it all together. But I was thinking the one in the middle might be a good welcome to the cemetery and a short history. We don't want to make it too verbal. And for example, the first when it got started, first and last burial and so on. Maybe the one down south to the left, walking in, could point out the direction to go to the Thomas Morton headstone, our Civil War veteran that's complete, and then the one on the north side. Maybe I was thinking about maybe the human side of the cemetery, like the number of children and number of 1918, 1919 dates on there, probably the flu epidemic, families and so forth. So those are just some of my first ideas. And you're welcome to join in on the brainstorming. And then, do you think, Brian, that we'll meet the cemetery restoration people as early as October?
What was the question again?
Would we get together with that restoration company in October, as early as October?
Yeah, I think, we just kind of signed an agreement with that consultant. So I think we're going to have a kickoff meeting and determine the next steps, and I'll let you know when it makes sense to bring any historic commission members into the loop. So that's a possibility by October, though. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, also, I think we need to check with her to see if Daryl McCool is still interested in being part of it.
I guess is it a public committee?
Well,
Not just the
well,
historic commission, Brian?
Well, she was part of because they had CAPS and us originally, and Daryl and someone whose name I don't remember. Daryl was definitely part of, our original walk up there a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Would
He's
that
not
continue,
part of-
Brian? You think?
Well, I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, it's kind of, yes, initially it started out, the cemetery working group, as essentially a subcommittee, and it was opened up to members of other town committees, and Daryl McCool was part of that initially. She hasn't so much been involved over the last few months as the project's evolved. She's also no longer a member of the CAPS committee, but that's up to you guys. I mean, if as far as getting her input and bringing her into this process with the signs, I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but it wouldn't, I don't think we'd be opposed to it. So
I've jotted down her name to remind me of that, Mary. So thanks for that.
Okay. I mean, she's got good ideas and she's an easy person to work with. She doesn't try to ramrod things through or anything.
Any other comments on the cemetery restoration project?
I like the herringbone bricks. That really looks nice out there. The herringbone. Yeah, it looks nice.
It does. Oh, when Jack Bowes and I are up there, we probably, anytime we go up there, should take a can of wasp spray too, because they were making nests in the lock of the, or in the latch mechanism for the gate. So he luckily had some of these trucks. So just a little sidebar there. Okay, Brian, anything new on the installation of the Ormond Roche signage?
Yeah, and this kind of ties into, I think, number 2 on new business, but, you know, I think in lieu of not having a grand, like, kind of ribbon cutting up there for that trailhead, obviously it's been open and used for quite a while now.
Yeah.
We're working to get those, we'll get those interpretive signs installed shortly. It is a priority. In the meantime, though, CAPS has kind of been working on potential, you know, eliciting proposals for artwork at that trailhead, and they have a couple potential locations. Obviously, it gets a little sticky because some of that's Boulder County open space property, but I think very shortly here I'll get in touch with you, Larry, and it's a matter of going on site and just making sure all parties are aware of where these 2 signs are going to go. You know, obviously keeping in mind that the artwork as well. So, or the eventual artwork. So yeah, we'll get them up here definitely by the winter for sure. So,
You know, just to review that we're going to have a grand opening and have the signs for that, but they can't do that with the COVID situation. And then if the, you know, the artwork is actually there, we don't have signs conflict with the artwork or vice versa. So that's why it hasn't been done yet. Okay, thanks for that, Brian. Well, Miners Memorial, I did a little bit of research and found a really cool memorial over at Newcastle, you know, west of Glenwood Springs. They had a disaster over there with 49 miners killed in one explosion at the Vulcan mine. And they've got a very, very nice, I'll send that picture around to you. Very nice monument. So at this point, I don't have the green light yet to make the presentation to the board. So that should come up maybe this month and maybe next month. We'll follow the cue from the town manager on that. And I also did a little research and found one down at Trinidad that's very extensive. And then there's even one over at Frederick, which I can only get a picture of. I'd like to go over and see it sometime. Frederick's is quite extensive too, it looks like. You know, the mines are in Nakano, Frederick, and Firestone.
I looked at the one too, and in Trinidad, was it the Southern coal miners? Southern
Yes,
Colorado coal miners?
that's right. Yeah, Southern Field down there. Yeah.
It was very elaborate, but I thought, you know, with all the miners statues, sculptures around, they're all of a miner standing there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it would be nice, like the one in Trinidad, to have more of a working type of sculpture, that they're on their hands and knees with a pick and, you know, working, and their looks on their faces and hard work and sweat and the way they looked while they worked, I thought was good. And the one in Trinidad, if we're thinking of the same one, was a nice one.
Yeah, it was. It showed them using a pick and shovel and all that sort of thing, I think.
Great.
Yeah. Some of them have the little coal cars on it in the sculpture itself. So I thought that would be an idea too.
That's a good idea, Twyla. I've been thinking about that too, because the typical statue is miner oftentimes looking up, like looking at the ceiling of the shaft or something like that. And so it was a way we could get some variety. If we get to a statue as well as a monument, to have might be a way to have a something different in the statue. Maybe the miner and his family or something like that. You know?
Right. They showed that too with the families and just a little bit more animation to it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should get the mule in the statue.
Yeah.
All the mine operators thought they were more valuable than the miners. So
Yeah, that's not necessarily a bad idea either, Larry.
yeah.
Right. Exactly. Because they were more important.
More value, cost more money.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, it's in the works. I'll send out some new photos I swiped off the internet for Frederick, Trinidad, and Newcastle.
Okay.
Correspondence there, Vicki?
Yes, I sent out the thank you notes to Leo and Jean. So that was all I had for this month.
I think you got it right. Can you still hear me? I just unplugged. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to show you something. I unplugged my earbuds. So Jean Morgan also, from a friend, inherited this little school box. And so she donated it to this. And I went ahead and so far I've taken, I don't know if it's going to be anything permanent because I think it's probably from the 60s, maybe the 50s. So it wouldn't be something we'd necessarily be able to display because it'd be kind of out of scope, but it's kind of cute, you know, it's a school box where keep your pencils and crayons and things like that. So, so I filled out the donation forms for the other two donated items, and we'll get those back to Jean.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for doing that, Aaron, and Vicki, and Vicki's also been sending minutes and the commission corner to Bob Morgan, and he sure appreciates that, Vicki.
Yeah, no worries.
I thought of one other, and that is that I asked Aaron if she would kind of follow up on the signs for the equipment and the buildings in the Grasso Park, and she has agreed to pursue that. I don't know if you have anything to say about that, Aaron.
Yeah, so I just started gathering information and Larry sent me what he has already. So I'll be working on that, and then when I get something written up, I'll send it out to you guys and we can see what we need to add and change and whatnot.
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks for doing that.
Sure.
Any other old business?
Yeah, mine's a question. The historic donations account has almost $500. And Brian, if I remember correctly, we're supposed to use that up every year too. Would there be some special part of our redoing the building, you know, tidying up the buildings where the wood is rotted or something like that, that we could specifically designate for that, just so it isn't just sort of lost into the middle of the other 5,000? And I just wondered.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily, yeah, I guess it's not necessarily that you have to use it up, but yes, if you don't, it's, as in the last couple of years, it won't carry over to future years. So yes, I mean, obviously there's a lot of money left in that historic preservation account. But yeah, it'd be up to you guys if you want to designate the historic donations account money to something, whatever that might be. So
I think we need to do that because I really feel that if somebody donates to us, they intend for that money to be used some way and not just get lost. so we do need to use it for something specific.
Or if we can think of something special for the museum, so, you know, all of us get our thinking caps on and, you know, we've got a
Yes,
couple more months.
Or even for the, fire truck, something towards that potentially. So,
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe we should all be thinking of something specific and bring it up next meeting.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Or email first.
Is there anything we need inside of the museum, like rugs or, well, it needs to be cleaned because we talked about that too. But just curious what else we could put in there that's, well, not old, I guess, that we need to buy.
Let's set up a date for the cleaning, and I know Larry's busy with Thomas the Tank Engine, but a couple of us in there with a vacuum and a dust cloth, and we can look around and think about it too.
Yeah,
If we get a
agree.
date set up.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll volunteer for that because I've been thinking that.
Yeah, me too. Let's just find a date.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, you want to look at something as early as next week?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, next week is good. It doesn't matter what day.
We used to do a lot of things on Friday morning as kind of a museum day, mission day. Want to do Friday morning at 10
Yeah,
o'clock?
That works.
Fine, yeah.
The 25th?
Week from today, yeah, whatever that is. Yeah, 25th.
Uh-huh. What
Okay.
time?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. All right. I'll be there.
Does that fit everybody?
Yeah,
Yeah, then we could figure out what it might need in there too for,
Yeah. Just get a good look at things and see if there's something. Yeah, that's a good idea. If there's something specific we need to purchase, for example, for the museum.
right.
Yeah.
I could come to that also unless we have too many people already.
Good point. Of course, we could put some people downstairs too, because I've swept the basement floor a few times because of the spiders and roly-polies and so forth.
yeah.
I might bring a little hand vacuum that, it doesn't require an outlet. And last time I was in there were all kinds of flies and bugs.
Good
and
idea.
things.
Yeah, dead ones.
Yes.
Yeah, we can each take a bucket or whatever we think we would need.
I'll try to join you also if I can break away from home learning for a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that's a little more difficult for you, Aaron and Vicky. Okay, can you come, Vicky, too, or just?
Yeah, no, unfortunately I cannot. I have a meeting that day on that time. So.
Well, I think that, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering the maximum number of people we're thinking is too many.
I think we'll be all right. We'll have our masks on and, yeah, we'll have our masks on. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we don't all need to be in the same room. I think we'll be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
right. Okay.
I think Wally should wear his apron.
Just the eight.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Now that's one to think about, folks.
Maybe not.
With terror.
Oh, goodness. Okay, good deal. So we're looking at Mary, Karen, Twyla, Larry, and maybe Aaron, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Okey doke. Very good. I don't
Sounds
think that's too many. Again, like I said, we could always split up if we need to.
Who knows? Who knows how to open the museum?
Well, I thought everybody
Most
did.
of us, but it's time. Yeah, if you don't, we'll give you another lesson. And Larry, we can just do that from the upstairs behind the sign,
Yes,
right? And we
Yeah.
don't have to go downstairs if we didn't have to.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah, it works really neat now.
you are correct.
Right.
Yeah, we'll
Easier
just wait till we're all assembled there and then we'll go over it one more time since it's been a little while since we've been there. Did a little refresher. Won't hurt anything.
I've been shown once and I don't remember, so.
Well, who showed you anyway?
Oh, the leader of our pack?
Oh, well, maybe he needs to be impeached or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Uh-oh.
He's-
Uh-oh.
He's a peach, all right.
No. Okay, and the new
Larry.
business then, yes?
Larry, yeah, just a suggestion when you guys are meeting over there, and obviously you guys are being as safe as possible with the masks and the 6 feet, but just because it is kind of a confined building, obviously I would probably just make sure to open the windows and keep the doors open just to
Good
help
idea.
with ventilation. So
Good idea, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
We'll do
probably.
that.
Could use airing out anyway, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Okay, new business, the headstone at the Superior Cemetery. Jack Bowes is already talking with the monument company. And he's looking at maybe in the spring, it might be ready then, between being made by the monument company and waiting for favorable weather for installation. So Brian has done a nice job of dealing with Jack with the technical things through the town. And the last thing was Jack needed a statement from the town saying it's okay to put the headstone in the cemetery. So I think all things are go. I think Jack is very happy with the fact that he can replace his great grandmother's headstone.
Really great.
Questions or comments?
no, I just think it's wonderful that it's happening.
Yeah, right now, as of now, we'll see what it's like in the spring perhaps, but trying to figure out how to get the heavy stone from whatever up to the site. Because, you know, right now there's no road, there's an ATV, or he'll talk about that. We'll talk more about that when it gets closer to installation time. I guess we've talked about artwork at Ormond Roche. Cap's photo project, I think that's one we can probably start leaving off. I don't think we have been involved or plan on getting involved. What do you guys think? I think it might even be over.
Yeah.
I think it might be over.
So my understanding is that they have finished taking all the photos, but they haven't yet published it. So I think the challenge is my initial thinking for getting the historical commission involved was figuring out what kinds of questions you think might be of historical interest in the future. They did already send that survey out to kind of get people's questions, but I could send out a follow-up if there are questions that this group thinks should be asked of the families around what they've experienced.
Okay, so you're saying send that? Is that what you said, Laura?
Well, I mean, my suggestion is just to talk to the CAPS committee and see if there's still an opportunity to get involved. I mean, I know we're a little bit behind at this point, but I'm sure they could send a follow-up survey if there were historical questions we wanted to ask.
Okay.
Or we can leave the CAPS project as is. I just think since they're capturing a time capsule, I figured that might be an area where this group might want to have input into the questions that are being asked.
I guess speaking for myself, maybe that's our problem. I don't know if we understand exactly what the project is trying to accomplish.
Is there a way to see what questions have already been asked?
I do not have the list of questions, but we could certainly get those from the CAPS committee. I mean, I think generally what the project was trying to accomplish was creating a record of what are Superior, like kind of how are people living through this weird time in history. And so they did photos of various families around town. They accompanied it with a survey around what kind of activities are you doing and that sort of thing. Erin, to your point, I don't have the specific questions, but I did see them at one point, and that was kind of the gist of them. So I think it's more for this group. My thinking is a historical commission might have some expertise on these are the kinds of things we'd like to capture that CAPS might not have thought about.
So can one of us communicate with CAPS? How do we just, I guess, talk to the chair or something?
Yeah, so I think you can just email the CAPS committee, and double checking their email right now.
Yeah, they have a general address like we do, I suppose.
Yep, exactly. So theirs is just caps@superiorcolorado.gov. So very easy.
Is the initials CAPS in caps?
It doesn't matter for an email address.
With CAPS at Superior?
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Laura, for helping to clear that up.
Yeah.
Okay, museum opening for October. I doubt if there's going to be any, excuse me, any change in that. Is there, Brian? I was kicking around the idea of trying to open up like some other museums have, like Louisville did. I got to looking at all the stipulations and thought maybe it'd just be easier to stay closed. I'm completely open on considering it if you want to pursue that.
I think, Larry, it's probably just especially in light with, everyone kind of knows Boulder County's COVID numbers are going up a little bit, and just given how small that building is, I think it's probably better to err on the side of caution and keep it closed for now. Certainly if the commission has creative ideas on, how to safely open it. I think, Larry, we talked about this. Just be a matter of putting something together that I can share with the town manager. But in spite of that, I think probably keeping it closed is the smart thing to do right now.
My only, I just have a suggestion. Obviously, they'd have to figure out the square footage and how many people would be allowed in at a time, which is probably no more than a couple of visitors and a couple of commission members. But I noticed when I was at the library the other day, because they do have some limited hours where they're open. And this lady was standing outside, and I said, "Oh, are you checking for our masks?" And she said, "Well, yes," but she said they're only allowed 35 people besides staff in the library. And, that's quite a big building, really. So if we wanted to have it open while the weather's good, we could say limited to two visitors at a time, and people would just have to wait outside if we wanted to do that. And once the weather gets bad, of course, we wouldn't want to even, people aren't going to want to stand out in the blizzard. But anyway, it's an idea.
Did I send around forward the Louisville History Museum procedures to you?
I don't remember.
Okay. Because they've got a system. They started maybe a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and again, only so many people in the museum, and once everybody leaves, they wipe everything down, and so on and so on. I was kind of envisioning one of us sitting outside screening people and making sure they have masks, like Barry saying 2 to 4 people in, and maybe only 1 volunteer inside, but I don't know. Then Brian's suggesting we just kind of stay doing it the way we're doing it. So
I mean, if you want to
Yeah,
put, like I said, oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Laura.
No, please, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, certainly if the Historic Commission wants to put something together similar to what Louisville's doing, we'd be open to looking at that. I just, I don't want to close that down necessarily, but just thinking of how small that building is and who's at risk and strangers coming in. I don't know. I mean, just, I think right now keeping it closed is not a bad thing. So.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with Brian's suggestion on that. What I might suggest instead is, I think the point around the building being so small, I think it does make it really difficult to bring people into it, even 1 or 2 people, because then all those germs are now in a really tight space. But because it's so small, it might lend itself to maybe a virtual version of it. So maybe it's something where, Larry, we have you in there by yourself and with a video camera on a Zoom conference where, people can all be watching from home. You can kind of walk around and show them things, and people can say, oh, could you go, show us this thing over there? And that's something that a lot of tourist bureaus are doing that's been really successful, offering those sorts of like virtual tours. Or just this past week, I did something with Boulder County Parks and Open Space for Walker Ranch, where we taught a class on cross stitch over Zoom for kids, where there was the interactive portion of it where we taught the kids how to do it. Then we showed them photos of the ranch and talked about what it was like in the 1800s and the role that embroidery played. And that was really successful. So I think now might be a great time to try to embrace some of those virtual options. I think one place that we are lucky is because the museum is so compact, we could probably show a lot of it in even just a 1-hour Zoom session.
Well, we've talked about possibly doing a virtual tour for quite a few meetings now, and I think it's a great idea. I guess we need to act on it or not.
I think it is a good idea. We just need somebody who says, I know how to do this, and take our hands, or one person's hand, and lead us through and start to do it. Maybe we'll want to do like a little script first that we can edit, or what needs to be. When we're there cleaning up next Friday, maybe we can make a list of things that on a virtual tour we'd need to really make sure we're
Things we highlight, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I'm certainly happy to help out with the technology end of it. I don't know that my expertise on the exhibits within the museum, but Larry, if you or anyone else wanted to put together like a script, or kind of, you'll start here and you'll go there. I don't even think it needs to be fully scripted, even if it's more of just a plan of you'll spend 2 minutes talking about this and 5 minutes talking about that. I'd certainly be happy to meet you outside, kind of get like a phone set up, and then have you be able to walk through and film yourself as you go.
Well, I think that'd be great.
Good.
It doesn't have to be me either, but I'd be happy to do it. And I think what Mary said is kind of key, and I think some of us in the older generation are a little bit uncertain about how to do the technology, but it's got to be fairly easy. I think I was listening to Stephen Colbert, and he was talking about how he's been doing this show from home, and they're videoing it on an iPhone, or on a phone anyway, and his sons are the camera people, so doing something like this ought to be pretty manageable if we can get over our trepidation about the technology.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to help with that side of things. That's the piece that I'm really comfortable with.
Great.
Thank you.
My husband is on the board of the Boulder, the Boulder History Museum.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I can check with him too to see if they've done anything like that and if they could lend any tips or advice.
Well, that's great. Because I think they have. I get an email from them regularly, and I think they might have something going on there.
Yeah, I think they do have a couple virtual things happening.
The
Okay, I like
joy-
an idea. And when we're cleaning up on Friday, we'll get an idea about what ought to be highlighted and get back to you.
The joy of this is too, once it's completed, that even when we go back to normal, whatever that will be, that'll be available for, people to look and enjoy in their own time through the months and years to come.
And I think we've talked about having it available on Channel 8 and things like that too.
Mm.
And maybe the schools.
Yeah, a photographic tour might be interesting too. I don't know if photos have been taken of the inside, but putting up photos somehow to lead people through might be interesting also.
Good idea.
Yeah, like a slideshow.
Yeah, that wouldn't take very much to get together some photographs either. Yeah, I have some I use in my slideshows. Yeah, I always take a couple minutes to push the Superior Museum when I do my other shows. So, yeah. Okay, good ideas. We'll follow up on that. Okay, the Welcome Boulder, Welcome to Superior brochure from Vicki.
Larry, did you receive that email from Carol at the chamber?
Yeah, but I only got it on your email. I never got the original one for some reason.
I'm not sure what email she sent because I was a little confused. I saw it and I think you were the only ones that saw it. But anyhow, she had proposed for you to put together a 300-word, roughly kind of snippet of the museum that they were going to add into the brochure. And I need to clarify with her if that, because that would be in lieu of us doing an ad. I was working on an actual ad versus if they do that, then we don't need to put the money towards an ad, I don't think, unless everybody would like to do an ad. They would give us a 35% discount. We could do a quarter-page ad and it would be $356. So the ad itself is really going to be just the logistics of the museum, like the time, times when we're open, the location, things like that. Very basic, but I need to clarify, and we have to get. They're going to put this together in October, so I need to get some things together. But my main question to everyone is: are you willing to spend $356 on a quarter-page ad if we're going to do both? There's the snippet through the chamber as well as an ad. If we don't need to, and again, I'll send out an email to clarify things, but it could potentially cost us $356 or it could cost us nothing. So that's where I'm kind of at with it. Does that make sense?
Reactions?
I'm not sure we need an ad at this point if Larry does a little write-up for it.
Right. That's kind of what I thought.
In the current environment, putting an ad in for when the museum is open is kind of not productive at the moment anyway.
Well, that's true.
In the future, it would be for sure.
Yeah. They put out 6,000 and it goes out to all new homeowners, new people who move into the community. So they'll get it as well. So it's something that'll be around for a year, but you're exactly right. And who knows when we'll be able to open up again. So, yeah.
Well,
but I will
be on for a year. Oh, excuse me.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I'll clarify with Carol if her snippet is included with the ad or not, if it's going to be two separate things or one and the same. So I need to make that clear. She just sent the email out yesterday. So that was the first I saw of it.
Yeah, the way I read it was she was looking for, what amounted to a real short article, like you said. So it should be, I would think it'd be separate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of understand it as separate as well. I just need to work with
make sure. Yeah.
Yep. So
well,
that's
like Karen was saying, if we're not going to be open, might not need the ad, but if it's going to be around for a year and we go back to normal
Yeah.
by
Well-
March, let's say.
Exactly. And this is going to be, if it's successful, they intend to have the Welcome to Superior around each year. It'll just update as new members join the chamber and things change in the community. So it's going to be redone year after year, as long as it turns out this first go around's successful. So yeah, so I'll clarify a few things and send out some emails. And
Okay, very good. And we could, maybe that's what we could use the historical account for too.
right. Yeah, so they do give a good discount. Normally it's, I was just looking at the price.
Mm-hmm.
For others it's 549, but for us it would be 356. So it's a $200 savings almost. So, but yes, we don't need to spend money if we don't need to spend money.
There you go.
So, all right.
Well, yeah, so I'm thinking that I didn't understand why I didn't get that email, because I think she sent it to the Historical Commission address.
Yeah, mine landed in my junk.
I was going to say, how
Oh,
many
did it?
got that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. Anybody else get it?
I got it, but I think it was from Vicky that I got it.
See, I hit reply all, and then so it might have come, like Karen said, from me after I replied to Carol.
Yeah, I think that's how I got it. Uh-huh.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Vicki, clear that up, and I think it's something definitely we can pursue, at
Okay.
least with the snippet, if not for both.
Right. Perfect.
Okay. One thing I've got under other new businesses that the Meredith, the second grade teacher at El Dorado, asked Mayor Folsom to do like his presentation he does during the second grade field trips to her second graders, and it looks like they might be going to cook something up there. She copied me on the email, and so I don't anticipate right now our being involved, but I thought that was kind of an interesting idea. I think he
Oh,
was
cool.
pretty favorable on it. Yeah.
Nice idea.
Yeah. And if you have any new business, other new business,
What's going on with naming the open space?
oh, the one up the CenturyLink.
Uh-huh. Is it just gone out to people? But
The survey went out about a month ago to the general public, and the OSAC committee has been taking the lead on this one. Brian, you might know the date better than I do, but I believe the names are supposed to be coming to the board in October for consideration.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I had an update. I think I provided an update to you guys last month. The Shape Superior website, the OSAC Commission was taking naming suggestions. I think they have I think that survey has ended, I believe. I know they have a top 3. I believe the name Coyote Ridge is kind of the leading contender right now, but nothing's been actually approved yet. So.
Yeah, I thought it had the time set up for the contributions of suggested names has gone past, and we never got involved. I don't know if they just. I did some research and couldn't find anything real significant, except for the farmers' names that might have owned the land. So I guess I just didn't follow up on that.
no.
Well, the coyotes were there before the farmers even, so.
Thanks for bringing that up, Buzz. Any other new business? Okay, then to review, I'm going to send out some pictures to you and the Louisville Museum procedures. We're going to meet a week from today at 10 o'clock in the morning to spiff up the museum. What else do we need to do for review here? Got everything? Well, Vicky's going to follow up on the Chamber of Commerce brochure.
Right. Welcome to, yep.
And ideas for the signs up at the cemetery, ideas of wordings.
Ideas of wording on the cemetery signs. Well, at any rate, we'll keep on keeping on, I guess. Thank you, everybody. Nice meeting, good comments and suggestions, and appreciate all your participation.
Larry, you want a motion to adjourn here?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we hereby adjourn.
Motion by Wally, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Mary.
How many
We
seconds?
consider that to be approved to adjourn. So we'll just keep in touch over the next few weeks, and